Hello, everybody. This is Joseph P. Farrell with news and views from the Negarium on Thursday, February 10th, 2022. This one is a bit of confirmation of something I've suspected for a while. We'll get into that. Um, Tomorrow at 3 p.m., we do have the first vid chat since my heart attack. That will be at 3 p.m. It will be the short format vid chat. That means post your questions and comments right in the comments area by 10 o'clock tonight. If you're late, I'm not taking them. And the reason why, folks, I have to be very strict. I've got to watch my voice, I've got to watch my tiredness. But I am planning to do the vid chat tomorrow, voice and tiredness permitting. If my voice gives out or I get too tired to continue, obviously I will discontinue. But we've already got some questions and comments in there. A really good philosophical one, by the way. But the person that submitted it was not thinking theologically. So we're going to do that tomorrow with that question too. So anyway, get your questions, comments in submitted in the comments area on that vid chat by 10 o'clock tonight. And I'll see you all tomorrow at 3. I will probably be in there as normal for the pre-chat, but I do have some business to take care of, so I don't know exactly when that's going to be. It could be at 2:30. It may be a very short pre-chat, in other words. Anyway, I've had this suspicion for quite some time that as crazy as the world is getting, or rather the leadership class of the world, particularly in the West, folks, the people running the West are number one, evil, number two, sociopathic, number three, narcissistic, number four, psychopathic, and number five, insane. Okay. And I'm holding back. All right. Anyway, I've had this high octane speculation that what accounts for this total craziness, particularly in the last couple of years, on the part of the leadership class? Are they drugging the water? Are these people on drugs? Well, we know Hunter Biden, yeah, he is. We don't know what the rest of the family's up to, but I have my suspicions. But I've had this scenario in my mind that the leadership class is fundamentally stupid and they'll do anything the technocrats tell them to do. Witness President Trump in the vaccine, quaccine, warp speed, lockdown, face mask, all the stuff that we're dealing with now. And the technocrats, in turn, are going to listen to whatever the computers tell them. And there we are. I've had this fantasy that somewhere there are AIs gaming all sorts of scenarios and spitting stuff out, and Mr. Technocrat simply blithely follows along, no matter how crazy the advice is. All right. So, in other words, AIs are becoming kind of like God. And we're back to that conundrum that one of the members of my website posted for the vid chat. Is it right because God commands it, or does God do it because it's right? Okay, that old saw. Well, AI and the technocrats are kind of acting like, well, it's right because AI said so. All right. And that has problems, as you can imagine. So, anyway, I have a bit of confirmation that there's something like this going on, and it concerns BlackRock and Aladdin software. I've posted 2 articles for you, and I'm going to give you some quotations from the first article by a Damini Bandari. And the article is largely fluff. It makes it sound like it's all jonquils and daisies. We have nothing to fear. Aladdin is here to predict our way to stock market and bond market wealth and happy living. The title is called Aladdin Software Managing. Listen to this figure, folks. Aladdin Software is managing $21 trillion, the investment management giant. And let me read the first few paragraphs from this article. Quote, a business is not just about buying and selling a product or a service. It is much more than that. For a business to run properly, everything needs to be on point. For that, management is necessary. In fact, it wouldn't be wrong to say that management is necessary for every step of a business. The most important factor is to manage the financial assets, risk, and other investments of the business. From financial planning to look after bonds and equity of investors, it includes everything. Now, we all know business and risk go hand in hand. Therefore, in a business, apart from investment management, risk management is also required. This reads like a typical student paper, folks, and that's what I suspect it is. Anyway, to continue. Now, thanks to technological advances, this can also be done by software. Isn't that cool? The article talks about the biggest investment and risk management software, BlackRock Aladdin. So now, what is BlackRock Aladdin? As the name suggests, it is not related to Aladdin and the magic lamp from the Arabian Nights, although the work it does is not less than that of a genie fulfilling wishes. Aladdin stands for Asset, Liability, Debt, and Derivative Investment Network. Note that we have an AI running that derivatives market, which the last time I checked is anywhere from 14 to 17 quadrillion dollars, which is several times the gross domestic product of the planet Earth. Isn't that wonderful? And gee, AI is involved in that. Isn't that wonderful? Aladdin is a system whose work is to keep an eye on the markets and stop anything going wrong. Let me read that one. Just absorb that one for a moment, folks. To keep an eye on the markets and stop anything going wrong. Now, folks, that right there is a recipe for all sorts of mischief that Mr. Globaloney can get up to. Let me continue. Particularly if Mr. Globaloney is successful in bringing in a cashless society. It connects people and technology together to manage funds. It is part of BlackRock Inc., an American global investment management company. This system was founded after BlackRock was founded in the year 1988. In the year 2000, Aladdin was introduced as a system for investment management users. And at the end of the article, we have a little icing on the cake, not much, but something suggestive enough. It notes that Fannie Mae is one of those corporations that uses Aladdin. And of course, Fannie Mae is the U.S. government federal mortgage corporation. Now, one more point. The second article I'm linking for you notes, and I was wanting to use that article for my talk today, but unfortunately, it just would not copy and paste. Okay, so you'll have to go read that article for yourself. But it's very telling because Aladdin controls currently, according to the other article, more than 4 times the value of all the money in the world. It controls apparently about 17% of the global bond market. And by control, I mean it's influencing investors to make their decisions on the basis of its analysis. All right. It controls or influences 10% of the global stock market. And it hovers up so much data that at some point, virtually every bank and corporation are dependent upon it. Now, that is enough to give you the idea that this program can, in fact, game out scenarios, at least based on economic use and so on and so forth, financial currents and so on, to create a reality in which Mr. Technocrat and Mr. Globalone world leader live. Now imagine that kind of software. What I've been arguing is the craziness of Mr. Globalone and the craziness of Mr. Technocrat is precisely because they're listening to these machines. And if they're genuine AI, this is the key point. If they're genuine AI, they are not going to be responsive nor even factoring in normal human emotions, human choices, and so on. So, in other words, at some point, what I've always been arguing is the more that AI takes over and influences the world, the less human it's going to look. So, there's going to be a divergence. And I suspect ultimately that this is going to show up in markets. I think we're already seeing that divergence between Mr. Globalone and their cashless society plans and the movements now that we see in several American states to recognize bullion, not specie, in other words, not bullion-based coins, but pure and simply bullion as legal tender. So in other words, take in your 1 ounce bars of silver into the grocery store and trade 2 or 3 bars for $100 or $150 worth of groceries. This is happening right now in several American states. And I suspect it's because we're watching the people behind these moves realize that the society that Mr. Globalone wants to put into place is a very inhuman one. So a little confirmation of my thesis. Yeah, it's an Ariman wet dream. I like that. Somebody said that in the chat down. Ted Brenneman says, I would love for you to do a psychological breakdown of Mr. Globalone. I did at the beginning of this news and views. I said Mr. Globalone is insane, psychopathic, sociopathic, narcissistic, and evil. That's my analysis. Anyway, that's my analysis here of what's going on with our leadership class. Is they may be getting their cue prompts from AI and computers, and we've got BlackRock to point to as just a small sector of what's going on, but a growing sector before it goes completely nuts. Anyway, don't forget the vid chat tomorrow. Get your comments and questions in by 10 o'clock, not 10:05, not 10:30. If it's not there when I decide to start printing out, it may get axed. All right. We'll see you on the flip side, folks. Keep your fingers crossed that my voice holds out and my heart does too for tomorrow for the vid chat. We'll see you on the flip side, everybody. Bye-bye. God bless.